Hello everyone, Kristina here with your Divine Love reading for the week of January 16th through the 22nd. Thank you so much for joining me, and as you've probably figured out by now, there's a little bit of chaos in my life, so that's making a delay on getting this video up and also preventing me from being on camera this week. So we will make do. I wanted to make sure you got something from me, and then hopefully next week I'll be up on time and on camera. So let's get started. So one good thing to come of this is that you'll actually get to see the spread that I use to do these readings every week. And so there's the overview. And now let's just get straight into the details of the card by card. Okay, so starting on our side, the current energies surrounding us, we have the Wheel of Fortune. And there's two things going on here. One of them is that we're in a little bit of a holding pattern, feeling like we're spinning our wheels, but not making any forward progress. But what they're really saying is that actually, the standstill, the seeming standstill is purposeful, okay? We're having to kind of do the holding pattern a little bit to allow some things to unfold, to develop, and to allow some things to catch up to where we are at. We've been doing a lot of work for a long time, and it's not so much that we need to rest as much as we kind of just need it to stew or marinate. They're giving me this image of like all the flavors coming together, which is an interesting way to put this. They're also talking about, the Wheel of Fortune usually is about kind of chance and a little bit of destiny in there. And it's like you kind of have to stay in place a little bit so that some things can come to you, so they can find you. But just know that that there are some unseen forces that need us to be in this kind of standstill for the time being. Now, drawing us out of alignment with divine love, we have this Knight of Farms. This is the slowest moving of the knights in the deck, and it actually feels a little bit like getting off of the horse for a while. That is a mistake, okay? And that sounds like it's contradicting what I just said about the wheel, but what they're saying is, no, you have to be kind of on the horse and in motion, even if you aren't like really making super forward progress, but you have to be kind of in a position to be moving. It's when you mistake this seeming standstill or the seeming lack of forward movement for a time to stop working. Okay, so the mistake here, what they're warning against or advising against that draws us out of alignment is the idea that, oh, well, we're not going anywhere anyway, so I can get off of my horse, I can come say hi to this dog and, kind of do whatever. But that's a derailment. That's an actual distraction from kind of being more on your, it's being on your path, but it's not about like doing hardcore work. It's just, it's still about having your eye on the prize, but without getting distracted. The big thing they're talking about is this distraction of kind of leaving the steed in order to kind of mess around over here on the side with something else. Ooh, okay, some of you, here it is. Some of you who may be involved in some kind of a relationship. Wow, this one's really heavy. Okay, if you're involved in some kind of a relationship that's not your divine love partnership, if you're staying in there out of obligation and loyalty, this dog, the dog is signifying some loyalty. If you're staying out of obligation, those ties, it's time for those to be cut. Well, it's not that the tie needs to be cut. It's that you need to not get off the horse to go hang out with this dog. The dog would like to, the dog needs to be running on its own, and you need to be moving forward on your horse, and all of those things can continue forward together. But you need to get back on the horse. Okay, wow, that's a little bit metaphorical and abstract. So if you are a person who's doing this or has something like this in your life, you're going to know that that's you. Okay. Um, wow. Yeah. So don't get distracted by these side relationships. This feels like, some karmic stuff, some of that obligatory kinds of relationships that we have in our lives. And there's no reason you can't attend to that while also staying on your horse. Like, everybody can continue moving forward together. Okay, now I'm repeating myself. So let's move up to the card that's drawing us toward divine love. And that is the Knight of Skies. This is like the Knight of Swords. And actually, it is one of the fastest moving knights in the deck. That's interesting. We've got two knights here. Like, we feel like we're in a standstill, and then we've got like the slowest knight and the fastest knight kind of trying to, they're pulling on us. But in this case, this Knight of Skies is actually, I'm really drawn to the raven as the key figure here. This is about paying attention to your helpers and your guides. They really are trying to communicate with you this week. And they're giving you some pretty big signs, and they'd like you to pay a little bit closer attention. That being stuck on that merry-go-round and the Ferris wheel, you're having to come around again and come around again because you're not looking at the signs that they're giving you. And so as soon as you notice this thing, if you've been getting repetitive messages, they really need you to stop and look at that, not just go, oh, there's another message. I mean, it's like, no, seriously, focus. Wow. Okay. And once you like really attend to that message, that sign, that symbol, then they're going to, kind of take you off of the merry-go-round and let that horse really start to run again. Okay. Wow. Let me just mix up all those metaphors. All right. So that's us on our side for the week. Let's go ahead and move to our masculine and feminine energies. Okay, so now looking at the masculine and feminine energies on our side that are guiding us and wanting to come into balance, or trying to come into balance. For the masculine energy, we have a Puch. Wow, that is not the way I would think that that's pronounced. The keyword here is fear. It's a Mayan god of the dead. And then the feminine energy is Helen of Troy, and her keyword is beauty. And wow, yeah, this makes a lot of sense, given that we're kind of in a more prolonged period of everybody really doing their own thing. And you've probably not been feeling a whole lot of energy coming from your counterpart, or it feels different. Whatever it is, it feels like a little bit more detachment than usual. And for that reason, that's starting to bring in these fears. This creeping fear comes in. And Apuash, the Mayans were always fearful that, Apuash was right around the corner, ready to like bring death to them and steal them away. And there is quite a bit of fear out there among those of you who are watching, that this lack of contact and the lack of energy that you're intuitively, what you usually intuitively pick up from your counterpart, it seems like you're not feeling them right now, and it's really making you nervous. Like, oh gosh, is this really over? And what they're saying is that if you are looking at this time of separation in that way, like, oh no, it's over and I've lost them, that is absolutely your fear. Okay. It's a very fear-based place to be. And that kind of fear and attachment is what undermines, counterparts coming back together. So what they're saying is you need to come back to that deep knowing, that the initial bond, I always say this, you can't outrun it. But it's that bond, it's a tie that really does connect you. And like I said before in the with that wheel card, this kind of standstill time is here for a reason, and they're giving you this time and space. Like the universe is carving out this time and space for you to kind of get your spiritual house in order. And if not your spiritual house, then your literal house. Okay, like this time is here to allow you to have the space to just kind of take care of your own business without worrying about your counterpart. And what they have with Helen of Troy kind of flanking a Puch is this idea. They want you to, what I was saying before about come back to that deep knowing, it's also come back to the beauty of the bond. Okay. It wasn't not there. Just because of what it looks like right now doesn't mean that the connection is any less beautiful than it was, in its height. And they'd like you to focus on those beautiful moments. Okay. Oh gosh, how do I translate this? They just really want you to kind of stay connected to that really high, beautiful energy. Like when it was at its peak of all of that love and beauty, the kind that made you like look at the sky and it was like a deeper shade of blue than you'd ever seen before. Like those moments, they want you to stay connected to those because that is the thing that's real here. Okay. The time that you're having to spend apart is purposeful, and it's so that you can come back to those moments of beauty. They're also saying that for some of you, there is some work to be done around body image, and that somehow one of the things that's blocking you at the moment is the idea you're fearful about whether or not you are physically attractive enough for your partner. And they're already saying like, okay, now I'm laughing at them because they're like shaking their heads and going, guys, how many more times do we have to tell you this? It's not about that. Your partner can always see through whatever physical trappings you come in, because it's not really about the physical part. You have a physical bond, there's a physical aspect to it, but that's ultimately not where this bond resides. Divine love resides at the spiritual level, and those attractions, those pulls, those connections, they really do transcend whatever like body it's being carried in. So they would like you to let go, really truly let go of all of this fear that you're holding on to, that you're feeding, because you're afraid you're not going to get what you want, because that fear itself is what's pushing things out. Okay, so now looking at the masculine and feminine energies on our side that are guiding us and wanting to come into balance or trying to come into balance. For the masculine energy, we have a Puch. Wow, that is not the way I would think that that's pronounced. The keyword here is fear. It's a Mayan god of the dead. And then the feminine energy is Helen of Troy, and her keyword is beauty. And wow, yeah, this makes a lot of sense given that we're kind of in a more prolonged period of everybody really doing their own thing. And you've probably not been feeling a whole lot of energy coming from your counterpart, or it feels different. Whatever it is, it feels like a little bit more detachment than usual. And for that reason, that's starting to bring in these fears. This creeping fear comes in. And Apuash, the Mayans were always fearful that, Apuash was right around the corner, ready to like bring death to them and steal them away. And there is quite a bit of fear out there among those of you who are watching, that this lack of contact and the lack of energy that you're intuitively, what you usually intuitively pick up from your counterpart, it seems like you're not feeling them right now, and that's really making you nervous. Like, oh gosh, is this really over? And what they're saying is that if you are looking at this time of separation in that way, like, oh no, it's over and I've lost them, that is absolutely your fear. Okay. It's a very fear-based place to be. And that kind of fear and attachment is what undermines counterparts coming back together. So what they're saying is you need to come back to that deep knowing, that deep knowing that the initial bond, you can't, I always say this, you can't outrun it. But it's that bond, it's a tie that really does connect you. And like I said before in the with that wheel card, this kind of standstill time is here for a reason, and they're giving you this time and space. Like the universe is carving out this time and space for you to kind of get your spiritual house in order. And if not your spiritual house, then your literal house. Okay, like this time is here to allow you to have the space to just kind of take care of your own business without worrying about your counterpart. And what they have with Helen of Troy kind of flanking a Puch is this idea. They want you to, what I was saying before about come back to that deep knowing, it's also come back to the beauty of the bond. Okay. It wasn't not there. Just because of what it looks like right now doesn't mean that the connection is any less beautiful than it was, in its height. And they'd like you to focus on those beautiful moments. Okay. Oh gosh, how do I translate this? They just really want you to kind of stay connected to that really high, beautiful energy. Like when it was at its peak of all of that love and beauty, the kind that made you like look at the sky and it was like a deeper shade of blue than you'd ever seen before. Like those moments, they want you to stay connected to those because that is the thing that's real here. Okay. The time that you're having to spend apart is purposeful, and it's so that you can come back to those moments of beauty. They're also saying that for some of you, there is some work to be done around body image, and that somehow one of the things that's blocking you at the moment is the idea you're fearful about whether or not you are physically attractive enough for your partner. And they're already saying like, okay, now I'm laughing at them because they're like shaking their heads and going, guys, how many more times do we have to tell you this? It's not about that. Your partner can always see through whatever physical trappings you come in, because it's not really about the physical part. You have a physical bond, there's a physical aspect to it, but that's ultimately not where this bond resides. Divine love resides at the spiritual level, and those attractions, those pulls, those connections, they really do transcend whatever like body it's being carried in. So they would like you to let go, really truly let go of all of this fear that you're holding on to, that you're feeding, because you're afraid you're not going to get what you want, because that fear itself is what's pushing things out. Okay, so the current energies surrounding them, they are also in a standstill period. They've got the Four of Skies here. This is about rest, rejuvenation. You can see there's this, I think this is a goose, this goose that is at rest. That's, both sides are in, we are energetically connected. So it's no surprise that both sides would be doing kind of a similar standstill period. For them, it really is more about resting. For our side, it's about kind of let some things stew a little bit. Drawing them out of alignment with divine love, we have the Six of Seas. This is like the Six of Cups. And, it's like when they indulge their a little bit of wallowing in their old wounds around, that inner child stuff, everything they learned about love that leaves them feeling like this child who's on the left, kind of being kicked to the curb, and, like being ridiculed a little bit by the other partner. When they are kind of reliving or revisiting that space, and what they're really giving me is the wallowing. It's the wallowing in it. And when they wallow in that space, that draws them, that kind of kicks them out of alignment. The other thing that they're saying is there are, on our side, we had the Knight of Farms, and it was this the knight had gotten down off of her horse so that she could speak or, hang out with this dog. And there was like this relationship that's built on loyalty and obligation. These three children in the Six of Seas, it feels like here's this week, the thing that's drawing everybody out of alignment is being in relationships they're not supposed to be in. And kind of kicking the wrong people out of gosh, how do I, like, there are people they're supposed to be, so they're supposed to be with, obviously, their divine partner with you. But what's happening right now, the thing that's pulling them out of alignment is like they're doing kind of the same thing as the Knight of Farms card, where they're kind of being with somebody out of obligation and kicking the wrong person out of their life, or not out of their life, but out of that like romantic partner seat. And that is the thing, like this is them clinging to a relationship that they should not be in anymore, that, that's out of alignment with what this divine love situation is, because this particular kind of relationship for them right now it's something that's not feeding them. They know it's not feeding them. It's also not helping them grow. Like everything that this relationship, all the purpose it was supposed to serve is well expired. And so the more that they kind of stay in that and not choose, I know that seems kind of obvious. Like, of course, the thing that's drawing them out of divine love is the part where they don't choose it. But this is really, now we're getting into nitty gritty about relationships and people and that sort of thing. I'm going to say what they're giving me is like 70% of the audience who's watching right now has a partner or a counterpart who's in something that they really need to be done with. Like is beyond past time for whatever, karmic debt they may have been paying, or even, just kind of the sort of mundane obligations that we have, kind of like that Knight of Farms. It's done. That's done. And so drawing them toward divine love into alignment with it is actually, this bamboo field or bamboo forest, once they're saying, like, once they kind of get out of that and like wake up and stop kind of being like going through the motions of just kind of staying in that old relationship because they've always been in it, or they've been in it so long, like they're just doing that. Once they get out of that, it's like, wow, fast, rapid motion, rapid growth. And it's really encouraging. But again, it comes down to them kind of opening their eyes and choosing it. They're giving me, hold on, I'm going to listen for a little bit more message on this Eight of Forests. Ooh, okay. So this is really about decisive action. I mean, that's kind of a repeat of what I've just said, but it really is, because they already know. That's the thing. They do already know. And as soon as they get on the train, like the train is a speed bullet train. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. I live in the United States. We have Amtrak. So that's not a great train analogy. Bamboo is the analogy here. It is fast growing. It's durable. It's sturdy. It is like all of the most wonderful things that we hope relationships are. That even if, you harvest something out of them, they regenerate and they're like just sustainable, long-term, durable, living things. And once they kind of choose that, it's like wake up, be alive. That's what it is. It's like choose to be alive in your own life. Once they do that, that's what gets them into alignment, and it will actually pull them in really fast and like really get them like on rails. To go back to the train analogy. Okay, let's keep going to their masculine and feminine energies. Oh my goodness. So here we are with their masculine and feminine energies. We have Rhiannon with her keyword self-trust for the feminine. Their masculine energy is Helios with the keyword cycles. Holy mackerel. If you watched a couple weeks ago, I I can't remember which video it was now, but I talked about Rhiannon. She has a really fascinating story where she was accused of terrible things and really kind of framed and set up, and to the point where she even started to believe. So she was accused of killing her own child, okay, and and she got to the point where she was even starting to believe the accusations against her, even though she didn't do it, okay. And it was only once she kind of came back to herself and said, no, I would never have done that. This is not I am not responsible for this. You cannot pin this on me. Once she did that and really kind of found her own fire again and started speaking up for herself, holy mackerel, like her whole world she redeemed herself. She found redemption. The Helios card is, it's this cycles. So, on our side, we had that Wheel of Fortune, and it's the going round and round and round. They have the similar energy on their side, and it's showing up in that masculine, feminine energies. And the only way they can break out of this really tired old pattern of theirs is once they come back to their own self-trust and say, no more of this. Wow. This is a pretty coherent. I'm really impressed and not impressed, but I'm really liking the fact that there's reinforcement going on both sides, that there's a mirrored energy. So even though like this should really be your reassurance, even though you feel like nothing is happening, that same feeling of stillness, although on their side it's more stuckness, on our side it's stillness. But it's that general feeling of non-motion. That's, we're bonded and we're connected. So those same energies are playing out on both sides, although they just take on just a slightly different tone and a slightly different timbre, because of the different things that each partner is working out right now. But this is a pretty instructive card, or this is a pretty instructive set of cards, especially when, the energy drawing them out of alignment is, being in relationships they shouldn't be in. Like there's Helios, here's that pattern of relationship that they've been playing out over and over and over again. And it's going to take them trusting their inner Rhiannon, their intuition, their inner divine feminine to say, oh, absolutely not. Like this is really about speaking up, putting their foot down, and really doing the work to redeem themselves, to really be their own best advocate. Okay, so the overall energies, as you know, I like pulling the one card from the Universal Love Oracle and then a soul card. I love that this card is back for us, this balance card. The last few weeks, January, this period of greater separation, like it feels more distant than it has for a long time. So having this balance card here with, the face in the center in white is the divine, is your counterpart. And then here we are in blue, kind of right behind them, right in their ear. This is a nice reminder to us that we're with them. They carry us with them everywhere, just the same way that we carry them with us everywhere. And, they can, our words are just echoing through their ears, through their heart, through their mind. And here's the thing, they're really having this card is still about balance. That's that main idea. It's not just that we're in their ear. But they're really having to balance out a lot of stuff right now. Juggling, that relationship, whatever that Six of C's relationship was on their side, they're having to find balance between, there's a trio in that card and they are stuck between two. And so they're figuring out how to find a balanced way to reconcile those two, the two individuals who are in their lives and pulling on their energy. So, so this balance card is to let you know kind of what they're up to as far as that goes, but mostly as the reassurance that no, you're always with them the same way that They're always with you. You can hear them, they can hear you. Even though, like I said, it feels a little bit more energetically distant, but, you know, like that Helen of Troy card on our side, going back to all of those beautiful moments, that's the stuff. That is the fuel in our tanks, if you will. Okay. So this is, I love this card so much. It's so beautiful. But it is mostly like bottom line, the reassurance of don't lose hope. Don't give in to this fear of, oh my gosh, it's gone forever. You know, even if we have our free will choices, it's still, the bond never leaves, the connection never leaves. Okay. So just hold on to that. And I'm sorry, but look at this soul card. My goodness. Here are the two counterparts. You know, they still have that bond. And I like that they're actually connected at the third eye. Really. I mean, this is about even though it feels energetically far away, there's, you know, this card is saying like, no, it's just the energy is doing a little bit of transformation. It's just you don't recognize their energy at the moment. You're gonna have to do a little bit of work to relearn what their energy looks like. Oh, because they have been doing quite a bit of shifting, and so their energy has it's not totally unrecognizable to us. It's just it's different than what it was before, and so it's a little bit easier for us to overlook it or, you know, kind of scan past it because we don't it doesn't feel the same as before. Also, I want to look at these hands. So even though, you know, they've got their eyes closed, but they are still, you know, like I said, third eye to third eye, bonded, looking at each other, looking toward each other. But these hands are about our guides in the universe doing the work of kind of, you know, corralling us down the path we're supposed to be on. So, and that includes those times when our path kind of veers away from their path. Okay, so everything's okay. I mean, not, if you're in a divine love partnership, being apart from each other never feels okay. That's the nature of the relationship. Okay, it's like, well, why are we apart? This doesn't make any sense because we're obviously supposed to be together. Like everybody feels that. But the other thing with these divine love partnerships is that everybody also usually has healing that needs to get done. And this seems as good a place as any to talk about this difference between triggering and unlocking. I hear so many twin flame readers or divine love readers talking about triggering, and I have I don't, it's not because like I'm not being goody about the terminology, but it's like if you just say trigger, then what that really implies is that it's like you flip the switch and then there's an automatic reaction that never gets resolved. Okay. But the thing that people forget about these kinds of relationships is that so-called triggering, it's unlocking. What it's doing is it's unlocking these things, these wounds that we carry around so that they can come up for healing. They want to get healed and resolved. And the unlocking is to clear the path, to open the way for those things to be resolved. There's action that happens after that. There's an implied something else after the unlocking. Okay. Triggering just really feels like, oh, now I've been triggered and there's no responsibility or action or free will or agency on the part of the one who's being triggered. It's just like, oh, now I'm having an automatic reaction and I have no control over it because triggers. It's like, no, somebody put a key in your lock and all of your little monsters and whatever it is that you're carrying around with you are now coming out and coming to the surface where you can see them. And you can decide if you want to release them fully and let them go away from you, or if you want to try to stuff them back inside the little cell that they were held in behind that lock. Okay, so that's why you'll hear me, like you've heard me in a couple of other videos talk about I want to get away from this word trigger. So all of that to say, um, you know, we have both sides have guides helping them, getting us down this path. I also want to show you again, there's that leaf motif that's in here too. Is that, I wonder, I don't remember, I didn't look. if this is the same, one of the same cards. No, you know what? Actually, no. I think last week what we had were two cards where it was like one person with all the hands on them and the other card was a different, it looked very similar, but it was a different color, but it was still one person with a lot of hands on them. And I like this. This is both people together with the hands on them. So there's the reconnecting, the remending, there's mending going on at the energetic level. And yeah, what they're saying is that the reason it feels a little distant is because their energy is changing. And so it's more about us not recognizing the new energy, not them not being there. Wow, that's beautiful. Wow, that was a lot of work to get to these cards, but woo, I want to stay here. This is lovely. Okay, let's get to the advice. Okay, so in the advice card, we've got this owl, and the keywords here are after the storm. It's the number 1 card. And, as advice, this is about, just weathering the storm. I think they're even letting us know that the stormy period is coming to a close fairly soon. So if you can just wait it out a little bit longer. Here's this huge sun. I love this card because it's not super clear if that's a sun or a moon. And, in the context of these divine love relationships, it's probably best that way because the sun is masculine energy, the moon is feminine energy, and it makes a lot of sense that they would be kind of melded in this card. So we have another, this is another one of these bird helpers guiding us along. It's holding this, I'm not sure what to call this, it's not a Merkaba, but it's like a 3D sacred geometric. I need to just look at it. Oh, I'm not going to come up with a word for it, but basically what this comes down to is we do have a guide. We have guides, just like from the last card with the hands on us. This owl is one of our guides, helping us through the storm, getting us through kind of these dark, chaotic times. And we're almost out. Okay, just have faith that this storm, this tumultuous time is coming to a close. Okay, this is wow. I mean, I can sense what I'm feeling is the kind of frustrated energy. And of course, it's even reflected in me not being able to get this video up at its usual time. It feels like there's a lot of things kind of holding us from making the kind of forward progress that we feel the most comfortable with. But it's all purposeful. Divine timing is a real thing. So this message is probably getting to you right at the correct time for you to be able to hear it. And but all throughout, there are helpers that are trying to get us onto our path, trying to keep us, on our horses. Like, no, just keep walking forward. You have to keep walking forward, even if it doesn't feel like you're really getting anywhere. It's, if you're taking baby steps or what have you. But we've got lots of helpers, and this time is about, we're in a holding pattern because our partner is stuck. That's kind of the shortest version of the reading. We're in a holding pattern because we're waiting for our partner to get themselves unstuck out of their kind of their relationship loop, because everybody's in stuff right now that is long over. And as soon as we start heeding all of the advice and nudges and being shoved in some cases that we've been getting from the universe and from our guides, the quicker we can find our way to the clear skies on the other side of this stormy period. Okay, so that does it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me and for being okay with this kind of altered version of the video for the week. And I will see you with my face, with my mug in the camera screen on Sunday. All right, take care, everybody.